All right. Well, hello everybody, and yes, I'm still in the house. So I don't know if anybody else is gonna show up. David Allen. It may just be the two of us tonight, bro. But if so, that's fine. I am bored. I have been tremendously bored. So I'm gonna sit here, ice this leg, just hang out with you. So if nobody else shows up, you'll get all your questions asked. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. It's just literally, guys. I have no expectations for this live to get a bunch of views. I have no expectations for anybody to show up necessarily, but I figured I'd get over here and just hang out with a few of you guys that didn't have anything else going on. The wife and kids, of course, are at a ball game tonight. I would normally be there, but I'm not. So I have got to the point where I'm not on pain meds. So I've been trying to stay out of videos until I got to where I was 100% non-medicated because my filters tend to not function when I'm overly medicated, and I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I try to be nice, and sometimes I'm not nice when I'm medicated at all. So I'm sitting in here tonight, and I'll show you guys what I got going on here. If I can get over to it. Uh, this is what I've been working on today. It's a little 3D print file that I designed. I went to, I've been, of course, y'all know I'm stuck with crutches. So I've been stuck with these crutches. And it seems like everywhere I go, like around the house, I'm just wearing some pull up shorts and a t shirt. So I don't got no pockets or nothing. So I had nowhere to keep my phone with me in case something happened. I needed to call somebody. So I have engineered this little piece here. This is basically a cell phone holder for crutches that incorporates into them. Yeah, so by design, by necessity, I have created a little wallet for your crutches. So there you go. But that's what I've been doing with some of my time today. So matter of fact, I just had to go get my phone charger, and so I used my little crutch caddy on this one to haul my phone charger. I have got to where, like, if I had to go get some more tea, I can use them to go get the tea and come back. But if I'm going too far or whatever, it's just hard to keep up with things. And wearing a t-shirt and a pair of slip-on shorts with no pockets, when you need something like this from the kitchen, because I have to charge this and then bring it with me to keep my phone charged because we don't have any plugs right there. So yeah, my daughter told me, she's like, well, if that's one thing about it, she's like, when you get into these predicaments, you tend to engineer things to make life better. Now this is version one. Version one doesn't have the cutout. That was a oops on my part in the design process, but I got the fit worked out. And so version one is actually going to have a cutout right through here. So if you put something in there that's big, that's hard to get out, like this thing is, you don't have to necessarily dump it out. So I don't know if you noticed that or not on the other one, but my other one has it had a little cutout. It's over here printing now, so we'll get that going in a little bit. But yeah, the funny thing is the guy at the physical therapy place that I go to, I was fussing about these crutches and how they could have done better because he's like, don't let this wing nut catch on your clothes and all the safety stuff. And I'm like, why didn't they use an Allen screw? And I mean, there's ways they could have done better than this to have made this better. And where's the storage on this thing? Where's the cup holder? And so that's going to be my next one. Is going to be a crutch cup holder to go on here. Now that I've figured out how to attach it, this one's actually a little oversized. If you'll notice, it puts a little more pressure on these bars than I wanted it to. But the way it goes in there, guys, is you literally just have to loosen this wing nut that holds everything together right here. And once you do that, uh, you can kind of pull these apart once you get this wing nut completely loose. It's got it and this little washer right here. You can pull this bolt. This is the bolt that holds the little handle on. Once you get all that done, this literally slides down this way, and you can pull these apart enough that it pops out. So it just sits in there with those little Those little slots right there is what holds it. So you just basically take the handle loose, get this lined up. I've got the edges beveled so it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure, and it just snaps in like that, and it actually moves until you put this part back in here, and when you put this part back in here, it applies just enough tension to secure it and keep it from moving. By the time you put the washer and the wing nut, which I still think there's a better one. They could have done better than this. They could have put a couple of Allen screws in there or something. This, I understand these probably weren't the Cadillac of crutches, but they could have done better. So once you get that in there, then this is a really hard friction fit. So I'm not gonna say it's not gonna move, but it doesn't move doing general use. So yeah, that is where I have been channeling my creative energies today, prototyping that out. This was the second actual print. First one was a train wreck. I screwed up so much on it, it wasn't even funny. But I did find a use for it as another application. So, but yeah, that's what I'm doing tonight. And I've got another one over here printing. I would show it to you. Let me see if I can get it to show on the printer itself. It's sitting over here right beside me, printing away. Let's see if I can get it to show on the camera on the printer. Somewhat, maybe. But you can kind of halfway see it. This camera on this machine and the way it's configured, not the best. I got the light turned off. Let me turn the light on it. Maybe that'll help. See if you can see it a little better. From my experience, it generally just washes it out. But yeah, there you go. So I got that one. I got that one printing. That one's version 3 or print number 3. So hopefully that one. All I did on that one is I made it a little narrower because this one was probably about 2 millimeters thicker than it needed to be. So I did a push pull on the edges and pulled it in about 1 millimeter. And also I added that little down cut so that you could get bigger items out from in there a little easier. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, guys. It's trying to keep driving myself crazy, pent up in this house. This is not the kind of lifestyle I'm used to living. I've been in this recliner. Today's the first day that I've spent as much time as I have in my little office chair over here because up until a couple of days ago at physical therapy, I was told not to bend my knee at all and not to put any weight at all on my knee. Well, they did tell me that a little bit of bending, they gave me up to like 45 degrees of bending without any weight is okay. So I got to wait till next week for the doctor to give me any directions on anything else. So I've got it now to where I feel a little more comfortable about getting over here at the computer desk and relaxing the brace and kind of letting that leg bend a little bit. So, but we'll see. What we got? Let's see who all's in here now that we've had a few people show up. I thought it was just going to be me and David Allen over there, but it turned out to be a bunch more of us. And I apologize for the audio and video if it's terrible. Shouldn't be too bad from what I can tell, but it's not what I would like for it to be. But I do not have the juice in me to be running back and forth and disconnecting all my stuff and bringing it. I just can't do that. I've got a decent camera set up in here, I think. So for now, it'll have to do. Let's see. David Allen, how are you, sir? I appreciate you. Appreciate the hopes there. What's up, Chuck? Steve, what are you doing, fella? Yeah, I'm alive. I've all caught up on your videos, so you're going to have to put some out. I've run out of things. I've come to the end of the internet. And if I don't find something else to research, I'm going to be going crazy. Three Sons, how are you? Mr. James Richards, hello, sir. Chuck Peterson, yep, still licking our wounds, trying to get to doing better there, but it's gradual, but it is improving, so that's good. Bob's World, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm trying. Nate Rife, my wife has ice on her knee too. Yeah, hey, Nate, they did tell me when I went to rehab that apparently I'm doing a pretty good job with the ice because I haven't gotten as much swelling as they had anticipated. So that's good to know. And I would show you guys. My wife made fun of me because a few of my close friends that are in the same line of work that I am were like, "Man, what did it do to your knee?" And so I sent them actual pictures of the incision. And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" But of course, those guys have seen far much worse. But she didn't know how I was sending it to. She's like, "Are you? Please tell me you're not sending that to some random person." I'm like, "No." But yeah, it's a pretty nasty incision. I didn't realize how much they had cut me until the first day that we took the dressing off, and I was like, wow, they did a number on that one. Probably all total a 6-inch incision, maybe 7. It's at least 6. Uh, but they said everything went well and got it reattached. So as long as they don't rip it loose before it can heal, hopefully it'll be good. John, I appreciate it. I don't necessarily do the coolest stuff, but I do try to come up with projects from time to time. I appreciate you. Same thing there, Jan. Appreciate it. Uh, hey, I just anything I can do to use the robots, the machines, whether it's 3D printers or the CNCs or whatever, I enjoy it. I've also come up with a design for a work from your recliner desk. I've got that designed, but the problem with that is I need a CNC to do it, and I need to be able to stand up to make it. So I can't do that one right now. Oh, well, thank you to Steve. Steve DIY said started out 3D printing and got into laser engraving. 3D printed for like 14 years prior. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have made it in the early days of 3D printing because it's just even the machines that I had prior to getting the Bambu, there was a lot more prep work went into it than what I really cared for. So I'm thankful that it came as far as it has. So it makes it a lot easier. Hello, Dennis. How are you there? Thank you for stopping by. Hey, 3 sons. Yeah, if I do get put in a home now, they're gonna have to keep me stocked up on filament because I'm gonna be printing all the cool medication holders and you know all kinds of stuff. I have a captive audience at that point. Just sell stuff. I'll just have me a little bit. I'll have me a little like a little half door put in and just sell it right there out of my room. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I told Brandy if it went on too long and I got put into a situation where I needed a wheelchair, I'm gonna go get me one of those. It looks like a little miniature skid steer, like a little rubber track machine. That's what I want. But I haven't. Hopefully, this is going to be about the end of it. Uh, Hopefully next week they'll tell me that I can do a little more with the leg and get a little bit more freedom. The problem it is I'm just trying to be real careful not to mess it up and make it worse because I don't mind being at home working in my shop, but I don't like being at home sitting stuck in a recliner. You know what I mean? It's terrible when I can't get out and do stuff. Uh, yeah, Dennis. Steve likes to talk about me being in a retirement home. It just hurts his feelings that I'm down to less than a year before I can retire. So since he's poking fun of me about retirement homes, I'm gonna poke fun of him about me being able to retire in less than a year now. Scott. Well, hello. Well, thank you, sir. Glad you stopped by. I'm making it. I'm still not mobile. Still look a little pathetic moving around the house, but I've actually gotten to where I feel like and I have the energy to do stuff and have fun. Which in turn, the more of this kind of stuff that I do, I feel better. So it's kind of like once I get sitting still and I stay there too long, it starts like it's to me, it's like my kryptonite. Like it just drains me, and it just starts pulling the life out of me. So I have to get back to doing the things that I enjoy and trying to replenish my good mojo or whatever. And then finally, It's about like a steam engine though. It's no coming. It doesn't start off real fast. You got to just slowly build up over time. But hopefully within the next few days, I'll get a lot more of my ability to move around and do stuff back. Dennis, it's really not terribly dark in here. I mean, it is. I do have the lights off because if I turn the lights on in this living room, there they are right there, and it'll look like the sun is right there. So that would be to be very bright. Because when I first came in here, the lights I would turn them on and show you, but I'm be honest with you, I ain't hobbling my gimped up rear end over there to that light switch. But there's three light bulbs right there, and they're really really bright. And like that one back there, it's kind of behind my head, so I don't worry about it. But yeah, it's just I've got the lights off in the living room because it's just been me sitting here watching TV, playing on YouTube, checking emails, designing files, waiting on this file to print because I've done print. This is the second one here, and I'm printing the third one, and this is all together with as much as which part of it's my own fault because I didn't cut this part off. This one was almost like 3 hours because I've got it thin, but I've got it heavily infilled, so it's good and sturdy. So it takes a little while to print those. Horton Brothers. Yes, well, thank you. Yeah, it's been pretty aggravating. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it wasn't gonna be that bad because I had back surgery last year. Like this time last year, I was having back surgery. I thought it wasn't gonna be that bad, but the problem I've got now is not using this leg, not being able to bend this leg in certain ways. It's causing the back to actually flare up a little bit on me, which has got my sciatic nerve just giving me fits. I was in the floor earlier, laying down, doing leg raises and stuff like that, trying to, move my back and get everything to pivot around to where maybe that sciatic nerve would calm down. And it's still hurting, but I'm down to only taking the ibuprofen twice a day. When it's that prescription ibuprofen, but that's all I've been taking just to help with the swelling and to help ease the pain off and stuff at night. So far so good. Yeah, I didn't know how bad the noise would be, but yeah, it's getting down over here. It is currently at 17% of that file. And I'll show you guys what I'm working on here. But this is the file, and give you an idea of what it looks like. This is, like I said, I added that notch here. That's going to save me time and filament. Plus, it's going to allow me to be able to get things out of there a little easier if they're not real tall. But that's it. This is showing up for some reason orange after I sliced it, but it's actually being printed on black. You can see here I've got the Bambu Labs PLA Basic. I'm getting down to the very end of that spool, so I've got a second roll of black, the same PLA Basic set up on the number 2 spool, and I've got it set also so that whenever I use all the black that's on this one up, it'll switch over to this one, and then I can take that the other roll there and actually keep it to be refilled. And instead of having to order a whole new roll of the Bambu PLA Basic, I can actually order the refill and just refill that spool and save myself a little bit of money on the back end. But it's all Bambu Lab PLA. I've got PETG, ABS. I've basically got a little bit of everything, but because this A1 is not ideally suited for ABS, I'm saving it until I can get myself the S1 or either the X1 carbon. I'm going to get one of those two machines that's enclosed and upgrade, but I'm getting the hang of this one, getting the use out of this one before I do. So, but yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. But yeah, that answers somebody's question, I hope, about what filament I use. With this machine, I use their filament, and to me, their filament prices are very competitive with others. I still have a little bit of the Creality filament. Most of it I gave to my buddy that I gave my Ender 3 to, but for the most part, I use the manufacturer's filament just because it's less trouble with the settings. If you're one of those guys that likes playing and likes trying to find those perfect, settings for the filament or whatever, then that's great. But me personally, I'm more about the usefulness of 3D printing than I am the understanding every facet of 3D printing. You know what I mean? I do it more as a utility than an entertainment, so to speak. I'm entertained by the fact that I can hit print and it prints. I don't have to do a whole lot more to it. I get no joy from having to sit over here and burn out calibration cube after calibration cube after calibration cube. I've been there, done that with other machines, and that's not my favorite part of 3D printing. So, uh, yeah. Well, Three Sons, be careful out there, man, because I've been keeping up with a lot of it, and I did storm response up until the past couple of years. I quit doing it just because I had so much going on here at home between the full time job and all that. But yeah, it looks like some folks is definitely in need of help up there, and I know we've had some pretty severe storms down our way over the past few years, and I know that the people in those communities, it's like you see a lot of people on the news talking about the federal government being such a big help or whatever. Guys, I've been through a lot of storm damage from Katrina all the way up until about 2 years ago. The last big one that I went to was in Panama City, and then before that was the one that hit Houston. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the most people that I see are like public safety, police, law enforcement, firefighters, EMS, ambulance, those guys, the utility companies, and like people from the neighborhood, like businesses. And I've been to a lot of those things. As far as bodies and people on the ground, it's going to be local people. Now, I'm not saying that the federal government doesn't send money or whatever the case may be, but kind of like I've heard some people say about this stuff up in North Carolina, giving them $100 or $800 on a debit card right now ain't gonna do those folks no good because they can't get to the things that they need. They would rather you bring in, a tank of propane or some gas or a generator or something they can use, because when the infrastructure goes away like that, digital funds really don't do you any good. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of you guys because y'all are older than me and probably have been through harder times than I have. But, at the end of the day, the things that people care the most about is going to be shelter, safety, medicine, and food. That's what they want. They don't want an EBT card or a debit card or whatever that they could use at a grocery store if they had a grocery store, because giving somebody money in a situation like that, money is only good if you have a place to spend it. And when the place that you normally would spend money is gone, it's not going to do you any good. Uh, I've been to those areas, and I always took extra supplies with me because it never failed. I'd find somebody there that needed it worse than I did, and I'd end up giving away half of my rations or half of my water or half of my propane bottles or gas or whatever. But the last time I went on a storm, I went to Houston, and I had two of my tires, not just one, two of my tires went down on my truck. Well, I had a spare, but I only had one spare. So here I am in a town that is shut down, almost utterly destroyed. I'm basically living out of my truck, working these security details, guarding utility trucks at night, and I'm down a tire. Well, the tire was still holding air, but it had a big knot came up on it, and it was just like truck would jump all over the road. Well, I actually got on the marketplace and found a guy that had a truck like mine that he had put some aftermarket wheels on or whatever, and he had a set of stock tires and wheels that still had a few miles left on them. And he was trapped, couldn't get out of his house because of the way the situation was. But he needed money to be able to walk to the gas station to get propane and gas and stuff for chainsaws and all that. So I wound up, luckily I had cash because I always take cash with me when I go places like that. And I wound up getting to him and with cash bought the tires and rims from him so that he could go to the guys down the street and take that cash and buy fuel and propane and chainsaws and stuff that he needed. And so that's what people take, that, people take it for granted a lot of times. But when you go into those areas, you're better off to carry things that people like, commodities that people want, like water, MREs, fuel, tools. You're better off with those things than you are a debit card with $10,000 on it, because chances are nobody's going to be able to use that debit card where they are. And that's what a lot of people don't get, is you can't just run down to the grocery store. So it doesn't matter how much digital currency you have on a debit card, it's not going to do you any good if the grocery store is gone. So I think a lot of folks are just out of touch with stuff like that, unless you've been in there and seen it where it looks like a bomb went off and just destroyed everything. But anyway, that's a whole can of worms right there. We'll have to have a video just on that one night. But be careful up there at the Three Sons, and good luck to you. And just be careful, because those storms like that, those trees, especially with water, with floods like that. People that don't know how to run a chainsaw or have never done that stuff, those trees can be under a heck of a lot of pressure. And if you're standing in the wrong place when you cut that thing loose, it can take your head off. I spent about 7 years working with aspen, cutting trees, and I've seen some guys get mauled by trees under pressure because of floodwaters, or another tree falling on it and bending it over or whatever. Humble Turtle. Humble says, hello, just want to know if I can get any advice from someone who just bought an X2 M1 Ultra. I haven't played with the M1 Ultra. I know people who have, but I mean, X2 makes a good product. Different machines are going to have different capabilities. I know the M1 Ultra, I think, is a 10 watt, so that's going to kind of limit your cutting ability. But as far as engraving, it should engrave anything that another blue diode would engrave, even giving you a little more clarity on some stuff as far as the resolution of images and stuff like that. But I do know that the M1 Ultra comes with different cutter tools and stuff like that. You may want to look over Steve's channel over at Ventari's Workshop and check out some of his videos. I think he's gotten one of those machines that he's going to be showing. So that would probably be a good resource for questions for that machine, because I currently don't have it. And as far as I know, it's not going to be coming to me anytime soon. They haven't mentioned it. The only thing that I've got is a couple of add-ons from X-Tool that I've got actually in the kitchen that I haven't been able to get out to the shop yet. But it's not machines. It's just add-on stuff that they're going to be releasing. Steve says the M1 Ultra can be a 10 watt or a 20 watt. So I told you, Steve's going to be your guy for that, because I know nothing about that machine. I know it comes with a bunch of cool different cutter heads and printer heads and stuff. And I saw Steve printed some stuff on a piece of wood that looked like he come off of a regular printer. But that's about all I know about it. So go check out Steve's videos over at Ventari's Workshop, and he can help you a lot more with it. But the X-Tool machines as a whole, I've had good luck with them. I'll tell you that. So as far as the software, the hardware, the support, it's a Chinese company, so with support you're going to have a little bit of a delay. But hey, it's not like you're buying a $200,000 car or something like that. I mean, it is what it is. You're buying a product. You're buying it from a vendor that, to be honest, I don't know of any diode machines that are made in the United States. I mean, I know there's a couple of CO2s and desktop CO2s that are, but as far as like an affordable blue diode laser, I don't know of any that are made here. So no matter what company you buy from, you're going to have that same delay on getting in touch with people. But on the flip side, the larger companies do tend to cater more to United States and places like that as far as English speaking, and their hours of support are a little better than some of the smaller companies who just don't have the manpower to do that. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah, great. People, if you've never been thrown from civilized society back to Mad Max type situations before, it is very humbling. you realize that status and like when you get into one of those areas like that where there's nothing and people don't have anything, like it's a big power shift. The celebrities and the people that you can have all the money you want, but if you can't get nobody to bring you nothing because you're cut off from the rest of the world, you're down to whatever you can do with these things right here. So if you can't cook, if you can't find food, whether it's vegetables, insects, mammals, whatever, finding groceries, pantries that just happen to be full. If you can't do it for yourself in these situations after a period of time, you're just in a bad way. Hopefully, it won't get that bad. Hopefully, they'll get to these people. They're in a mountainous area. Most folks in those areas, they're going to be a few show enough rednecks that know how to distill water, that know how to purify water and how to find an animal or two to eat if they need groceries and stuff like that. Maybe there's some gardens that didn't get taken out. So I'm sure there's some people up there that can make it for a while before if somebody can't get to them. Usually, people that live that remote have the skills that they can survive for periods of time, as long as there's like medication and stuff. That's what scares me the most about some of these places is we live in a society where so many people have so many medications that they have to have regularly. And, there are times where it may be 2 or 3 weeks before they can get people in there. And then you have the people that have insulin and, medications that need to be refrigerated. Well, if they don't have a refrigerator, I mean, you're back to the old school ways of putting stuff in the creek to try to keep it as cool as you can. So, a lot of things for those folks to consider. But I still think that folks that live in the country like that in the woods are better off than the folks that live in these concrete jungles. Because if you're in a concrete jungle with 3 million other people and you get cut off from the rest of the world like that, like when I went up to Hurricane Sandy, went up to New York City, I would rather be in the mountains of West Virginia, North Carolina, with cut off from civilization than Long Island cut off from civilization, because it was different. You can't just grab your 22 and go shoot squirrels in Long Island. There's not much to pick from up there. Jer O'Grady, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it. I'm just making them more or less for myself. I'm probably going to take a couple of extras up there, though, to my physical therapist. What I thought about was making them and engraving my logo on them and just taking them up there to my physical therapist and be like, hey, if you have anybody comes in that wants one, you can, give them these. But we'll see. Well, thank you, Brian. I'm semi-upright. I'm still having to stay sit down and keep the ISO to it, so we'll see. And that is correct, Steve. Brian, hashtag Steve does get all the cool toys. Scott, if you're not sold on, like, it's a very close competitor as far as what it's capable of to the P2 that I have from X-Tool. The benefit that I see with the Atom Stack is, one, it works flawlessly with Lightburn. It is cheaper. There are some little things that I didn't like about, but I've talked to Atom Stack. They're making some adjustments. They've told me they're doing things to address some of the little bugs that I saw that I didn't like, and it was more or less just little overlooked things that bugged me. It wasn't anything that kept it from working, but they've already told me they've addressed a few of those. I've been using it a lot, so it's just it just works. It works good. I did actually get it the other day to where it warmed up above 30 degrees. It's been running about 27. Now, keep in mind, I'm in Alabama. My shop, sometimes it'll get up to 80 degrees inside my shop during the summer months. So, and that day it was about 77 or 78 in the shop. So it was warm in the shop, but I did run the machine for 3 or 4 hours, pretty hot, pretty hard, pretty hot and heavy, and it started getting up above 30 degrees. And I did figure out that you can actually set up a macro where it'll tell you what the temperature is after burns and stuff. And so I wound up just letting it sit. Took a break for 10 or 15 minutes. Went back, hit the macro. It was down below like 27 degrees or something like that. So then I started it back running, and I just started kind of giving it a few minutes between jobs instead of just reloading it and sending it. And it never got over. I think it was about 30, 32, but I think 27 is about where it ran with the air conditioner working properly. So, because just like the P2, these things don't have an actual refrigeration unit in them. It's more or less just a radiator. So if you run it hard enough and the temperature in the room is warm enough, it's gonna warm up slowly. Well, Brian, I got a few things. I could make it for a while. We'll just leave it at that. We're pretty well prepared here. Uh, pretty well prepared. Uh, cool, cool, Brent. Uh, uh, definitely a cool project idea there. Hey, call it what you want, Steve. I'll tell you, that's how you know you are the good kind of redneck is when you're the guy when the power goes out or when trees are down. When you're the guy that everybody around you calls and goes, "Hey, are you busy?" That's when you know you're the good kind of redneck. Because I have the capability of cleaning the road out, and I have done it before when storms would come through. I went and got my chainsaw and my tractor, and I'll drive and clear the road until I meet my neighbor from the other end of the road with his tractor, and then we'll stop, talk about how bad it is past where we met at, and then we'll turn around and come back and then go the other way until I meet my other neighbor coming in from the other end with his tractor. And between 4 or 5 neighbors, we'll have 10 miles of this road cleared before law enforcement, fire department, or anybody else makes it over here. And then once we get it semi cleared, then everybody comes through with the 4-wheel drives and the winches and the chainsaws, and we'll get it. Once we can just get it to where the 4-wheel drives can get through, that we'll have hundreds of people out there with chainsaws and have the roads cleared in just a little while. That's one cool thing about living in a place where we don't have to depend on the county or the state or whatever to bring heavy equipment out here to move stuff. My tractor is only a 50 horsepower, but I got neighbors that have bigger tractors than the county and the city's got. So it's just, guy right down the road, I think he's got front end loaders, skid steers, backhoes, like you name it, he's got it. No, Brent, I've got power. I just call me old fashioned, I guess. I was raised in a house where if I'm not reading or if I don't need a bunch of lights, I'm not running them. And it was kind of blind you because there's the lights right there. So it would kind of blind y'all if I turned them on. I'd have to turn the camera to where I guess I could turn the camera like if it's bothering everybody. See if I can move the camera. Uh, yeah, that might make it better. Great. No, I haven't really played. He's asking if I played with Lightburn 1.7 yet. No, that came out. I did upgrade to it and ran it on a few jobs and didn't have any problems. Me and Klein ran it the other day when he come over to help me with that one job that I had going on. He was working the CNC and I was just basically sitting at the computer pushing buttons while he latched everything down and did all the stuff that required moving around the shop. And we ran it on that job and didn't have any problems. But I, I stay so busy. Like I've got jobs coming in today. I'm sitting here in the chair and I got a lady wanting to know if I can have some signs done by this weekend. And I'm like, I can try. So I have to call Billy or call Klein and be like, hey, I'll provide the materials, the shop, and the know-how. If you want to come over and make some money, you can just use my stuff and I'll pay you basically for you doing your part and I'll collect what I've got to collect to cover my expenses. And my brother Bull, talked to him today. He's going to be off next week, so I've got some stove covers and stuff. He used to help me with those before he retired and then went back to work. So I've got him to where I can call him if I need to get some stuff done. But yeah, it's just kind of, I'm not really one to call people to get stuff done, but sometimes you just got to. So we'll see. Which Brandy did say if I, help her design the files and everything, she could do those signs for the lady. Because all it is two of those nursery signs or kids' room signs that I do. They're like 30 something inches, has the kid's name and whatever font they decide they want, and then I spray them with some 2X Rust-Oleum and tell them to go get some command strips, the little clear tabs that go on command strips. You just stick them to the back of it, stick it to the pillow and stick it to the wall, then it's mounted. But I sell those for like $35 a piece. And a lady called the other day wanting 2 of them for her grandkids, which is one of the grandkids has 2 names, but to keep from splitting hairs, generally I just charge that as if it was just one burn. So, but for what I've got in it, the amount of work I've got in it and everything, it's worth it. I still make decent money off of them, and she can't get what she's getting from me on Etsy and have it here by this weekend. It's not going to happen. Brian, well, Brian, I don't have a snowblower, but I do got a bucket on the front of my tractor, so I technically could push snow. Never had to push snow around here. Usually we just wait till it gets daylight and it all melts and goes away. But I could push snow if I needed to. So, but yeah, but that's around here. It's just like most folks around where I live is basically have the equipment that a lot of your landscaping companies and stuff like that have, because we have to have it to keep up with our property. Because especially with the sawmill here and stuff, you'd have a hard time keeping up with this place, especially when those trees blow over and you got to clean all the wood and stuff up. I don't know how I did it before I got tractors, but it's so much nicer to be able to take that tractor and cut that log into like 8-foot sections, pick it up and carry it somewhere to a burn spot or to a wash or something and just throw it off in it and forget about it. It's so much easier doing that than it is cutting that stuff up into small enough pieces to where you could pick it up, put it in the back of a pickup truck. Brian, now Brandy did say she's fixing to put her crafting table back up. She's wanting to do some more stuff with the girls. So I told her if she does some stuff, I'm gonna video it. We're gonna make content with it because she's talking about getting her printer sitting right over there, screen printer. Whew. She's talking about getting her screen printer out and doing some more screen printing and stuff. So, all right, guys, y'all talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm gonna go put my ice pack back in the freezer and let it get cold, and I gotta adjust my brace first. And I had to wobble my rear end over to the refrigerator to fill my tea up. So I gotta get this brace snug, doctor's orders. And make sure the brace is connected well in case I do slip or fall or something. Maybe it won't mess up his work. Either my leg's getting swelling a little more or something, because that top strap ain't wanting to strap, guys. All right. Yep. All right, y'all talk amongst yourself. In the event that y'all hear a loud crash and I don't come back, Steve, you've got Brandy's number. Just tell her she might want to call somebody. But I'll be back in a jiffy. Let me grab my. Hey, it takes skills to operate these crutches and carry a glass of tea. All right. So I made it back, guys. But yeah, I've got this new thing that I've learned I can do is where I grip this crutch with my underarm, and I can hold my tea glass, and I can still move the crutch. Hey, I've got some skills. I've been training for the Olympics. Ah. Phew. Somebody done put some hot pepper or something on my cup. Now I've got a phone, but I'm using it for a remote button right now. That was the whole reason I put my little thing. But now I could have probably summoned Siri if I needed to. And I normally have my watch on, but it's gotta help. I'm falling. I can't get up button on it. Now Apple Watches actually have it. And matter of fact, if anybody from Apple wants to ever watch this video, move that darn button for the emergency thing, because every time I'm like doing something and I put my hand down like this, it pushes the button and it's like send an emergency alert. But yeah, I need to go get my watch and put it on, but I hadn't been wearing it. I ain't been leaving the recliner, so it's like, why do I need a watch? But for those of y'all that were scared of the dark, it is now light. This is the living room. And it looks really huge in this picture, but it's really not that big. It's pretty big, but it ain't that big. Hang on. That's some Clack Shack stuff. That's one of my, what's it backwards? That's one of my little candle holder things that I made out of some scrap wood from making stove covers. It's a recycle project. There's a whole bunch of my projects in this room. So legs getting sore again, guys. I may have to wind up propping it up again. Gray, that ain't how things work around my place, bro. Ain't nobody here but me. We got kids and I got one adult child that's out doing her thing, and then we got another kid that's in the band, and so the band keeps Brady busy this time of year. And that's one thing that sucks is normally I'm helping with the band, take up money at parking and stuff like that. But right now I can't do anything. Me and the old silver lariat out there usually pull the camp of the band trailer, but can't do that right now because I can't even hardly get in my truck. With this leg fully extended, I don't fit in very many small places. I know I'm not 6'5", but with this leg fully extended, there's not very many cars the door will accommodate me getting in and out of that unless it's got a seat I can slide across and then twist. So I should have grabbed my Tums while I was up. This little box is going to be a while printing, so I don't know if y'all can get to see that one come off the printer or not, guys. But for those of you that didn't get to see it, now they got a light on, you can see it a little bit better. This is my crutch caddy. That's what I'm calling it. It's a crutch caddy. Clack Shack crutch caddy. And it's so that when you're using your crutches, if you want to like carry things with you, such as a phone brick charger and a cord and stuff, you can literally store it in your crutches. And then you can get it out and use it whenever needed. Tomorrow I might try to modify this design and include like a little flip down cup holder, but I'm afraid if I do that, it's going to break it because that's a lot of weight on something just sticking out there like that if you want to hit it. So I think I need to just stick with this probably. This functions and works, so I think I'm just going to stick with that. But I've got another one printing to go on the other crutch. Oh. Da-da-da-da-da. No, it ain't that. I promise you, it ain't that. It's the length of the leg, Steve. I'm actually losing weight right now. I had gained back up after my back surgery. I had lost down to like 209, I think it was, during my back surgery. But then I had gotten back up to like 225, 235 for a little while. And then like one morning I woke up and I was like 238. And then of course I quit. I quit going for two trips to the buffet and got myself back down to 230. And since this surgery, I guarantee you I've lost at least 10 pounds. I hadn't weighed, but I'm pretty sure I've lost at least 10 pounds this past week because I just don't eat. Yeah, Jerry Grady, I think one of those would fit in there. You have a point. Yeah, it fits a lot of the smaller things that you carry. So you could fit an ice pack in there, one of the small ice packs. I did test that earlier because I've been having to like just carry my ice packs, but you can actually take one. This is one of the bigger ones, but you can actually take them and fit them in there. The other ones I've got is a little smaller. I think one of them exploded this morning. They got these little BBs in them. Mm-hmm. No, burn car print. This was my prototype. I haven't got to that point yet. I have thought about I need to engrave them. I had even thought about if it wasn't for using so many supports, if it's either going to waste filament by using too many supports or it's going to waste filaments by having to do so many purges. I had thought about putting in white or orange in the print, putting my logo in there. But the problem with that is either I'm going to have to lay it flat to do it so that it can do it, in one, like to minimize the number of layers, or it's going to have to do a purge every time it does it, all these layers all the way up through here. And either way, that's going to waste a lot of filament. So I'm thinking I would either rather just put a sticker on there or take it and throw it under a laser. But the only problem is I don't have any lasers in here. So I'm just kind of playing with 3D printers the past day or so. Cool. That'd be cool, Gray, kind of like saddlebags. That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, Brian, Steve thinks that if you're not 6'5", you're short. That's just, I don't know where he gets it from. No data anywhere. I don't care what website you go to. Nothing is going to tell you that a person in the United States that is 6 foot tall is to be considered short. And I am 6 foot tall. I'm actually having to run my crutches. My crutches even concur. 6 foot tall. Because they put me on 5'11", and I was bent over a little too far. So I actually think I'd be okay on 6'1", but I like being bent over just a little bit. I don't like being like all straight. Well, Steve, if y'all quit wasting all your water, you'd have some up there. It's all that watering your grass and stuff you've been doing. But I'm sure there'll be some rain up that way and some snow up there before you know it. Yeah, Brian, I actually have done the PLA with the fiber. It's kind of hard to see, but it will do it. Uh, you cannot put a whole lot of heat to it though, or it just turns to goo. But it'll probably just end up getting a sticker. We'll see. Steve, most everybody is a half foot shorter than you. Like 90% of the population, unless you go to an NBA team, and even in that situation, there's going to be some guys shorter than you. But unless you're at a freaking NBA All-Star meetup or something, there's going to be people shorter than you. Mm. mercy. Gray, that would be kind of cool. Just put some Velcro on it. Bespoke. I guess I'm still sore, but I think my back is actually starting to irritate me. My sciatic nerve is irritating me more than the knee is. It's just awkward trying to keep this knee straight and not bend it and not put any weight on it and all that. So, I mean, but all in all, it's okay. I'm not very mobile. It does get stiff, like the leg gets stiff. It gets sore. I think it's starting to swell a little bit right now. Uh, so I mean, and when it starts swelling, it starts hurting a little worse. But I've been able to come off of the like serious pain meds. I'm just taking the ibuprofen that they gave me, and I'm having to take the little mini dose aspirins or whatever to make sure I don't get blood clots in my leg because of the nature of the surgery and the fact that I had bruising from the tear in the tendon, as well as possible blood clots and bruising and stuff from the surgery. And I've having to do a lot of keeping it elevated, and that's something that I've been kind of hyper vigilant about. Is keeping it elevated because of the whole potential for blood clots and stuff like that. Because the last thing I need is for this to end up causing me to lose like part of my foot or something. That just I don't want a bad situation to turn worse. So I've been doing what the doctor told me to a T, and then like a little extra cautious maybe. But just because I don't, like I said, I just don't want to see a bad situation turn terrible. Not that I couldn't survive, but I really don't want to have to. So, and so I don't want to be like, going to the doctor next week and him be like, oh, well, you had a blood clot and now we got to do this. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. Yeah, Jero Grady, I can do that for sure. Not a bad idea. Little anodized card slid down in there, snap it in. But yeah, I don't know. I'll play around with it tomorrow. I'm waiting on this one to print right now to see, make sure that I had to make some minor adjustments to the ends. I had to do a little press. This material had to kind of the sides were it was a little wider than I wanted it. It took a little more force to kind of snap it in, and so I took half a millimeter off of each side, just kind of compressed it. And so this one's going to be slightly smaller, and this one's going to have the little cutout. So I may end up reprinting this one again, just where they both look the same, but we'll see. Yeah, Gray, that nerve from my back starting to act up a little bit, and the doctor says he thinks that, and so does the physical therapist, they think it's because I'm having to sit in these modified, crazy positions because my legs like kickstand and I can't bend my knees. Like I can bend my knees with my left leg and sit normally, but my right one is still like I have to turn the chair sideways and like shoot it out straight in front of me, and it's just awkward. And so doctors all seem to think that that's what's causing the back to kind of flare up is the fact that I just can't get comfortable. Like I'm always cocked to one side or the other the way this thing's working right now. The only way is if I can like stretch out like in a recliner like that. Now I can kind of get both legs the same, but I'm always just kind of twisted unless I'm in that recliner. And I think too that recliner after about a week, I think it starts making my back pains worse. We'll try tonight to actually sleep in the bed. I think I've gotten the swelling under control enough that I can go in there and put ice on it and go to sleep and then get up next morning and ice it. And I think I'll be okay. But this first week or so, I wanted to make dang sure I didn't catch a clot. And so I've been keeping it iced, elevated and iced constant. A Theragun? I'll have to research that. I have some time. I'll have to research what that is. I got on the floor earlier and was just doing like leg raises and like literally just laying on my back and just flexing my back muscles and my glutes and just raising myself up and down because they gave me these weird little exercises I was supposed to do. And that's, believe it or not, that's one of them. And so I was laying on the floor doing them earlier. I feel goofy, but it actually does help loosen stuff up and get, blood flowing like it's supposed to. So, like I said, I'm trying to do everything they told me to do. That way, if something goes wrong, it's not because I was neglectful. But I guess everybody in here, I heard a lot of you say that you had people or new people or were going to work up in the hurricane affected areas. But I guess everybody that's in here were either out of harm's way or were not in the appropriate location to get a lot of damage. Because I know with the rain up in the mountains, most of that damage was just from sheer flooding. So the guys that were on top of the mountain, other than being cut off from the world, a lot of those guys I think fared pretty well as long as their yard didn't go sliding down the mountain, which is something that's the thing about those mountains. I mean, you're either at the top of the mountain to where your stuff's going to slide to the bottom, or you're at the bottom of the mountain to where the top of the mountain's going to come down to you. So if those landslides ever start, it's a bad situation. No, no, y'all not seeing me doing my exercises. I did try to brush my hair, but I'm due for a haircut. I'm going to go get one Tuesday, hopefully. That was the one thing I forgot to do before I went to surgery was get my hair cut. Uh, and it's done turned white, so there's no hiding it, but it's done getting long, and I just don't like the looks of it. So I ain't giving y'all nothing else to make fun of me about. Oh, see how long has it been? An hour and 3 minutes. Well, guys, I would really love to hang out. I have enjoyed actually getting to talk to you guys and let y'all know what was going on. If nobody's got any questions, other than, I mean, I didn't know if anybody might want to see more about the 3D printing or what, but tonight the goal was basically just to let you guys know I'm coming out. I'm slowly making it. It's getting better. Still not there. Still got a ways to go, but yeah, I'll try to be around if I can muster up the energy next week. I hope to be out in the shop. Maybe this weekend. Maybe if I have somebody come over that you know wants to do the lifting and stuff, maybe for an hour or two, I can go out there. But I don't look for there to be a whole lot of long form videos or anything until maybe next week after I talk to the doctor. If he tells me everything looks good, and eases up on some of my restrictions. If I could start putting a little bit of weight on this right leg, it would go a long way because it's hard to stand in one spot on one foot. It is for me anyway. I'm just not very balanced. There's a reason why I was not a tightrope walker or a gymnast. I have no balance. So, not that kind of gray. I see where you're going with that. Not that kind, sir. I'm coming out of my fog, sir. Out of my chair. Uh, yeah, that's part of it too, guys. Is I don't want to do too much and set myself back. Uh, this is not something I want to go start over with. Yeah, it's starting to hurt a little bit. Yeah, that's why I'm actually printing currently on my Bambu, and I'm printing my little crutch thing. If you're late joining, uh, there it is. It's at 46% printing, and you can see right here, I've got PLA, black PLA in that one, and I've got the second one set up as the overflow. Actually, it looks like it switched over to the other one. Let me stand up and see if has it ran out of the top one, because I could have swore I put it to go to the top one first. Okay, well, it's doing it backwards from what I told it to. It should have loaded the other one, but whatever. It's all the same. Well, Peter, I hope you're enjoying the machine, guys, and have fun with it. Like I said, I just I don't know if you saw it or not, but if you didn't, you can go back and look at the first part of this video where I made my little crutch caddy for my crutches. It was a thing of necessity to help tote stuff around the house while I'm on my crutches. Mm-hmm. Jared, this one's not terrible. I use Fusion 360, and hang on, and I'll try to get it over here where I can show you. But I use Fusion 360, and it's this is the file. So like everything starts off. Of course, you got to know your measurements. This is the file for that thing that I'm printing for the crutches. But there's a lot of different tools that do different things, and I'm going to tell you, there's tools that I have no clue what they do. Uh, but for the most part, let me see. If anybody wants to see it, we'll do a quick little file design mock-up if you're interested. So if you are, give me a little. Let me know. We'll do a real quick. I'll do a real quick little design just to give you an idea of what goes into it. This is going to be like I will just do something simple. I'm just going to come make up some measurements just to show you guys. So if you're interested in that, let's switch over to Fusion 360, and I'll save this, and we'll come up with something just to kind of show you something. So I'm going to save this file first of all. Looks like it already has. So I'm going to close that one. So I use Fusion 360, and this is this software right here. It's made by Autodesk. And so the first thing that you're going to do, of course, is as soon as you open it, my best practice is to go ahead and save it. And I'm not going to save this one because it's just going to be a test file. But basically, you have to start out with a drawing, a two-dimensional sketch. So you click this little button right here, and that says Create Sketch. So then you go down here and you decide which plane you want to create on. This is a three-dimensional object, of course, so you're going to have like an X, Y, and Z plane, just like you do with lasers. This is like, let's say, if you turn this around here, well, back up, I hit the wrong button. This computer screen is too small. But when you go in here, so you've got your X, Y, and Z axes, I always, if it's something that's going to be standing up, for the most part, I always just use the bottom plane right here as if this is my build plate, and I'll start at the build plate and work my way up from there. So you got to draw whatever it is. So if let's say we were wanting to make like it's like a little shelf or something for your desk. I could come in here and create a single point circle, and I could make this, let's say we'll make this 200 millimeters around. All right. And then I get finished sketch. So this is now just a 200 millimeter circle. But in order to make it a three-dimensional object, I need to add, I've got the X and a Y, but I need to add the Z to it because currently it's like X and Y drawing only because it's a 2D. So I'm going to click that and extrude this, and let's say I would make that 5 millimeters thick. Now this is not something I would recommend doing because this would take forever, but we'll say I'll make that 5 millimeters thick and hit OK. So now that's more or less, that's like a little base layer. So you've got this 5 millimeter thick piece of stuff. Well, if you wanted it to be like a little shelf to go in your cabinets or whatever, now what you would do is the easy way. You can do it a number of ways using offsets, and you can put everything on the same drawing, and when you extrude it, you can do offsets, and you can make it as complicated as you want. But Clack's easy way is to go in here, create another drawing, and I create it on the surface of this material here that we just created. And so if we wanted to come up with, say, like a leg or a pedestal, and so we wanted to make this pedestal right here 50 millimeters around, and like I said, I'm just exaggerating this thing, then we would hit OK, and that's going to draw us a 50 millimeter circle. When we finish that sketch, now basically all we have is that little plate looking thing with a circle in it. But we can go in here, we can extrude that up 100 millimeters, And now if you look at it, now we have something that almost resembles like a little stand or table or, whatever. So we could even go and create another one if we wanted to add another layer to it. Create a plane here, and I can come in here, move this. If I wanted to make it like the same size as this one, I don't remember what it was, but we'll just say it's 200, wasn't it? We'll make that one 200, finish the sketch. So now basically we're building a spool. So now what we can do is if you go right here, I can go here, right click and hit extrude. And if I make this one 5 millimeters thick, when I do that, you're going to notice it's not going to extrude the other part. So you can either extrude them both at the same time, which is generally what I do, or you can extrude them one at a time, which is just more complicated and doesn't need to be done. But you got options over here for join, cut, intersect, new body, all that. When you're building out a single item like this, unless you're doing parts to it, I just use join. And so like right now, if we need a spool for something or a little shelf to set on the table, there you have it. And then once you get this built, all you really got to do over here is go over here, go to export, and wait a minute, why is it export? Oh, I haven't saved it yet. That's why. So we'll save this. I'll just name it spool, and we'll save it. File, export. So now I'm going to take, and basically once I get the file built, I'm going to export it as an STL file and just hit OK. And it's going to save it into a folder. And then once I get it saved onto my machine, give me a second. Give me a second. I got to get to my Bambu Labs. I don't know if it'll let me do this while I'm running one. May or may not be able to show you. It should. So once I get into here, now I can go over to my Bambu Labs software and just go here, add to a project, see if it's made it in there yet. Sometimes it takes it a minute for it to export stuff. Yeah. It'll take it a second. All right, so spool should have exported now. So we go over here, and what we'll do is we'll find that STL file that we just exported, click it, hit OK, and that'll bring it into the work area. Now, like I said, you're not going to really want to be 3D printing stuff this big unless you're ready to go to bed. Because for one, this is going to be a massive amount of supports. Even if, like, a lot of times you can cheat and just use the auto right here. Auto orient is going to try to orient your piece so that it's the least amount of supports required. But with this one, I can tell you it's going to put them on there. So once you put that in there, you can also, like, you can scale items. Like, I can make this smaller if I wanted to. So I could scale it down to 50%. And if I wanted to make it, smaller. And so now I've got it scaled down, so it's not as big. So if I needed it for something, didn't need it quite as big. And then you can just go over here to slice, and of course, it'll show you everything on there. Now, it's not putting any supports on there for some reason. So let me see why that's not happening. Okay, so we're going to have to slice it again. Yeah, so that's a whole lot of supports. And that's one reason why stuff like that, sometimes it's better to print it in pieces and maybe put some threads on it or something to put it together, because there's going to be a lot of supports. And you can do different types of supports with your designs. A lot of folks like these tree supports. Maybe they're not as hoggish with the material, and they do a little better job popping off clean. But you've got different options when it comes to supports. But yeah, so for the most part, you just want to export the STL file from Fusion, and once you get that done, it's all over to the slicer from there. So, let's see, Jerry Grady, it says, that's cool. Is it a paid program? Yes, it is a paid for program. The version that I'm using, they have a license. Don't quote me on it because it's been a couple of years since I had it. Let me look it up. They have a license that is free that you can use, but it does have limitations. And hang on, let me get you over here to it. So this is what you can do. And guys, I am only touching the surface of what this software is capable of. But yes, there is a way that you can get it for free. They actually offer, if you're an educator, which this is something that I've talked to client about, if you're a teacher or in the education field, like public schools, college classes and stuff like that. I don't know about universities, but if you're a teacher, you can actually apply to get a license from them for that use, which I think is pretty cool because that allows kids in the classroom to get to play with the software and stuff. But yeah, the let's see, what is the name of it? The one that I'm using, Fusion 360, is what it used to be called. They've changed some of the names and kind of rebranded some stuff. But that's what it was called when I got it. Fusion 360 for personal use. So there we go right there. Let's see. Well, it's going to make me sign in. But yeah, you can download the free trial and play with it. But I do know there is a way that you can use certain features. Oh, here it is right here. It tells you right here. So for personal use, you get limited cam functionality, limited designs, 2D documented. So it's just going to limit, looks like the number of stuff that you can limit. And then, of course, it's going to limit the import, export file types. This is your paid for version right here. And that's without a bunch of add-ons. They do have add-ons that you can get to be able to do other things. But for the most part, this is all you need. But it's not cheap. So if you can do what you need to do with free tools, by all means, do it. You've got to be able to sell quite a few modeled things a year to justify the $500 a year that it costs. And so I have to recover my money by way of videos, making things to sell, designing files to sell on Etsy. That's where when I start, say I'm selling files or whatever. That's why, when somebody says, "Hey, are you going to sell that file?" That's why, because I got to pay for my software. So, but you start looking at $500 for Fusion, $700 a year for VCarve, $800 a year for streaming software. I mean, it gets a little like burdensome. And then $40 a month for Amazon, or not Amazon, Adobe. If you figure it up, just my online software licenses for making and creating content, and my screen capture software is a couple $100 a year. Shoot, I'd be afraid to say how much. I'd have to look it up. I look at my P&L and see how much I'm spending on licenses. But I use a couple of, somebody's asking me, how do you share your screen, switch back and forth between cameras? Well, normally in the shack out there, I have my nice little stream deck, and I got all my 2 screens and all that. In here in the house, I have to use this remote right here. And this remote, hang on, I'll swap you over to my screen capture and I'll show you. This remote basically operates this other program that I have in the background here, which is Streamlabs. And Streamlabs, when I swap the feeds here, Streamlabs swaps it and outputs it differently to the Restream software. So, that's the software there. So, yeah. But all those little buttons, so I got like little buttons that I can hit for different things. So if I wanted to turn the camera off, I can just hit like this button right here. If I wanted to turn the camera back on, I can hit that button. Look at the logo. I can turn my logo off and on right here. Where's the subscribe button, which I think those are on different scenes. But yeah, this is just an app add-on for the when I'm in the house and I don't have my little Stream Deck with me. I can use my Streamlabs or OBS. It's a version of OBS basically. I can use it from here. Boop, boop. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get up out of this chair and get over in the recliner to where I can ice this thing and kick it up and get it in the air. Appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me for a little while. And if y'all got any ideas of something y'all want me to show you, especially if it's something I can do in here, send me a message, give me a comment, let me know. If it's something I can work up, I'll try to do it because it looks like I'm going to be stuck in the house for at least another week or two. So we'll see. But anyway, let me go get me some more tea and some ice packs and get over there in that lovely recliner for a while. Until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.